Hi guys, today we are going to talk about negative externalities of haze in Malaysia. So we are group 76 and our group member are Lui Jenson, Ching Wei, which is me, Yu Hang and Malcolm. Moving on next to the list of contents. So we are going to have a short introduction of the content, economic concept, potential policy measures and short conclusion about the content. So for our introduction, I'll begin by introducing the issue our group is analyzing, which is haze pollution in Malaysia. Haze has become a recurring problem in our country, mainly caused by open burning, agricultural land clearing, and peatland fires. Every time these activities take place, they release large amount of smoke and fine particles into the atmosphere. This problem affects many parts of Malaysia, especially major cities like Kuala Lumpur and Selangor, where the air quality can drop very quickly during the haze season. People experience breathing difficulties, eye irritation, and disruption to daily activities. What makes the issue economically important is that people who suffer the most are not the ones responsible for causing the pollution. The polluters do not bear the full cost of their actions, while the public has to deal with the health and social consequences. So overall, haze pollution shows how private decision can create wider social costs, which is why government intervention becomes necessary. Thank you, and I'll move on next to Li Hui to talk about the externalities.
Hi, I'm Li Hui. I'll be discussing more on externality. So just like what Ching Wei mentioned, an externality happens when someone's action affects other people who are not involved in the activity. In the case of haze, it's a negative production externality because the pollution, which has a negative effect, comes from production activities like land clearing and will affect the public, which is not the one that are responsible for causing this haze. Alright, so who creates them? The main creators of this externality are plantation companies and farmers who use open burning to clear land. So the reason why they do this is because they want to save money by burning instead of using expensive mechanical clearing. But the problem is, when they save money, everyone else pays the cost through air pollution, health problems, and disruptions. So this is why this is considered as a negative externality.
Thank you for Li Hui for presenting. This is Malcolm and I will be presenting about how haze will affect the market using graph. So as you can see, this is before haze occurs and MEC is low, which stands for marginal external cost. And so MSC and MPC are relatively close or equals. As you can see, MPC stands for marginal private cost and MSC stands for marginal social cost. Okay. After haze becomes severe, as you can see this graph, after haze becomes severe, MEC increase significantly and MSC shift upwards because society experience more health problems, disruption and productivity loss. As you can see, there's a gap between it. So this widens the gap between MSC and MPC. The market produced at Q1 where only MPC intersects with demand. However, the true efficient output is Q2 where MSC intersects demand. As you can see, this is the Q1 and this is before haze occurs, and Q2 is after haze occurs. So the gap between Q1 and Q2 represents overproduction of haze-causing activities. Since producers consider only MPC and ignore MEC, market equilibrium outputs end up being higher. This overproduction results in welfare loss, which represents society loss due to excessive pollution and the external cost. Welfare loss is shown as a shaded triangle, which is this one. So the main stakeholder in this issue and the concerned individuals are, the first I'll be saying is the public, general public, which is the resident of Malaysians, Indonesians and Singapore will bear MEC in the form of illness, reduced visibility, cancelled flights and school closures. And next is the workers. So the workers will reflect on low worker productivity due to haze, which will decrease in the supply of production. And government incurs additional spending on healthcare, enforcement and monitoring system. Business such as tourism and retail will lose revenue during severe haze periods due to reduced customer activities and safety concerns. Thank you.
I'm Yu Hang. Right now I will be discussing about the policy solutions. So the first one is Begovian taxes. Begovian taxes approach is based on the polluters pay principle. According to the study of willingness to pay in Kuala Lumpur, they found out that majority of households were prepared to bear the cost for cleaner air, which indicates strong public support for Begovian style interventions, and this approach socially acceptable in Malaysia. So moving on to the second policy. The second policy is regulation and enforcement mechanism by tightened rules under the Environment Quality Act 1974. This is to ensure that firms cannot externalize pollution costs onto society. So moving on to the next approach. Leverage modern technology like drone, satellite monitoring. Okay. These tools allow us to track emission in real time and directly towards the violation in an effective way. So besides talk about stronger penalties create a strong and heavier punishment against polluters. And last but not least, transparency is the key. By requiring the companies to report emission publicly, so this can empower communities, investors, and regulators to hold their responsibility. Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Jenson, so I'll be talking about the conclusion. To conclude, this project helped our group understand how economics concepts work in real life, especially through the cases of haze pollution. By analyzing it as a negative production externality, we saw how activities like open burning creates social costs that are not reflected in market prices. Linking ideas such as marginal social costs, welfare loss, and market failure with real Malaysian data show why haze continues despite existing regulation. Overall, our findings show that the haze pollution remains a significant negative externalities in Malaysia. While current policies have made progress, gaps still exist in enforcement and regional cooperation. We recommend a stronger policies mix that includes stricter monitoring, better incentives, and enhanced cross-border collaboration to effectively reduce future haze incidents. So that's all from our group. Thank you.